Yeah, so this has been a lot of superhero movie news going on.
Yeah.
During the solo Patcast last week, that was most of it, was talking about superhero stuff.
Yeah, and you commented on the DC lineup, which I obviously I probably should have been around for.
Yes.
I mean, what is there for me to do here besides? I mean, I can say a billion times that Zack Snyder's awful. I don't think he has any clue what he's doing. You look at. Here are my two things that I would say about the DC movie lineup. I think it's really ballsy of DC to go ahead and try to lay out a Marvel Universe style lineup. Reason being is, okay, so Superman did well. Why? Because it's Superman. Okay, I thought the movie was awful.
It did fairly well.
Fairly well. Yeah, it wasn't even a runaway success.
It wasn't like Iron Man success.
No. It did fairly well. I hated it. Everyone knows that, but it generated enough money to get, Batman v Superman Dawn of Butt Crack shit, greenlit. And
I don't think that's a proper title, Ian.
I think it might be. And that's going to do well because there's Batman and Superman in it. But after that, that's where the lineup starts to fall apart. People don't know Suicide Squad. I even people who are fans of Wonder Woman, and I am, don't think that Gal Gadot is a good cast. What happens if after Batman vs Superman these movies start tanking? I mean, there's no guarantee. I don't think there's any guarantee. I mean, there's no guarantee we're going to see this through to the end.
Well, one of my points is that since they're going in the opposite direction and they're trying to introduce like 4 or 5 characters, I guess, in Batman versus Superman court case of the ages, that what if you don't care for any of those performances in there? What if when Jason Momoa shows up underwater for those 5 seconds, what if you're like, I don't want to see a movie with that guy? You already like ruined the opportunity.
Right. You're killing right. By putting all of them in this one movie, you're potentially shooting yourself in the foot. If they don't like that performance, then you've already guaranteed a certain chunk of people aren't going to go see those single movies. That's with that being said, the Jason Momoa Aquaman is the only one that I have any interest in seeing, and that's only if Zack Snyder doesn't direct it.
Because at least that's somewhat inspired casting.
I think that's a very neat choice for cast for Aquaman, and I am actually an Aquaman fan. So that I would want to see if Zack Snyder's not touching it.
Well, he's only going to be doing.
I think the bigger ones.
Yeah,
right?
He's only doing Justice League Part 1 and 2.
Okay.
So that was the other big announcement. They're going to do Part 1 and 2 2 years apart, which is interesting. Which makes you believe, okay, it's going to be the same story. You guess it being Part 1 and Part 2 that it will be. So then they have Cyborg guy has his own movie in 2020.
Cyborg.
He's Cyborg guy. A Green Lantern reboot, which will be interesting. It could be.
In 2020, just long enough for everyone to forget about the last one.
You feel bad that they couldn't even connect that one. Then again, we're going to have a Deadpool movie, so Ryan Reynolds is going to be doing that anyway. So.
Yeah.
So anyway, so go on, Ian.
But we've got the Marvel. So then the Marvel comes out and they roll out their entire Phase 3 plans
in an Apple-style event, which is really cool. No one's done this before.
Yeah, and we've got some interesting stuff. So there's the Captain America Civil War, but then we've also got the we've got Doctor Strange officially announced. That was officially announced. The Guardians of the Galaxy 2. We have Thor 3 Ragnarok. We have Avengers Age of Ultron. We have Black Panther coming, which I'm excited for. I love Black Panther. Most of what I've read has been his involvement in the X-Men, but I like Black Panther quite a bit. And then you've got more deep cuts, because at this point Marvel can do no wrong. We've got Captain Marvel, and we've also got an Inhumans movie, which is going to make my wife incredibly happy, and a lot of people like me very confused.
Yeah, I think what's most interesting about this is that there's a lot of things that interest me.
But we're also forgetting the last two real quick: Avengers: Infinity War Part 1 and Infinity War Part 2. So those were the movies that were announced.
Well, we knew there was going to be an Infinity Gauntlet with Thanos.
There had to have been, yeah.
But we didn't know they were going to do it in 2 movies, which is really cool to split it.
And I didn't know that they were going to push it so far back. I mean, this is also to me a way of them showing that they know what they're doing and that they're really planning. They show you Thanos at the end of the first Avengers movie,
which is 2012,
right? And they're not really and he's in Guardians of the Galaxy, but in kind of a side role. They're not really bringing him in until Avengers 3.
Yeah.
He
might show up in Avengers 2 or Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Sure, but
not as a main villain.
Yeah, so as a main villain, they're teasing that incredibly early.
Well, they're sort of establishing. They've been establishing all the all the gems in the movies one by one.
Yep.
You know, in Loki's staff, there's a gem.
Yes.
The Collector had one, and the other one in Guardians of the Galaxy, was it one or two of them, or it's the same one in Guardians of the Galaxy from Thor 2, and then I think there's another one in Odin's vault of weapons. So they're establishing that all these are 5 or 6 of them that are out there. You know, so he has to go get them. So I guess it's going to take 4, 5, 6 more movies in order for him to get them all.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
But I think what I think is really cool is that they chose Thanos to kind of be the long running bad guy.
Well,
here.
he's the biggest villain in the Marvel universe.
Well, he is, but he's also unknown to a lot of people. I mean, you can't forget back at the end of Avengers 1 how many people didn't have any freaking clue who the hell Thanos was.
Then this slow burn makes even more sense.
Yes.
Because in Guardians of the Galaxy, you're like, this guy's badass.
Yeah.
Like, he's on his throne. Now we realize this is a threat. Oh, this is the guy from Avengers. And
Right.
then he'll show up more and more, and he'll definitely be in Guardians of the Galaxy too, and he'll definitely be in Captain Marvel. So I don't know where we can go down the list and say what's surprising the most with this. Are you surprised they're doing Civil War this early, 2016? I mean, basically only 2 movies away. They're going to set it up in Avengers 2, which everyone's already forgetting that the next Marvel movie coming out is Avengers 2.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of weird? It's like, oh, Avengers 2 is coming out. Then you're going to have Ant-Man.
No, I don't think it's that weird. I think it's... What's weird is that they say the secret identities aren't going to play as big of a role, which was a huge part of Civil War. I liked Civil War. I know some people... It seems to be such a love-or-hate arc, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I'm just interested in seeing how they play it out without having a bunch of... Because Civil War brought so many characters into it, into its storyline, and they could do that, but without establishing them first, they run the risk of making too many of the moviegoers scratch their head. So I think for Civil War, it really needs to be... I think thematically, it's more going to be Captain America and Iron Man and very different viewpoints on
registering superheroes.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost like mutant registration, but it's superhero registration.
Right. So I think it's going to be more the politics of it and less the actual event that it was.
Well, I think, but you have to have the ramifications of there in there with the hero struggling. So this is why the rumor was that, and I guess they have been talking, at least so much, is that Marvel Studios has been talking with Sony to at least try to get Spider-Man in that Civil War movie, because Spider-Man was almost like he was caught in the middle of that. And at least if he brought Spider-Man in, obviously that'd be a huge win for Marvel Studios to be able to get him into the universe. And Sony would win out too, to invest life into that rotting carcass of a franchise they have right now. They don't do much with.
I agree as well. Instead of them, shitting out these movies that people always say, hey, they're okay.
They're products. They're not even films to me.
No.
I mean, you can say, oh, the Marvel Studios are products. Yeah, but you can see artistic merit in those.
Yeah.
Maybe Spider-Man 2 was like, okay, it's like 6 out of 10 at most. It's like, all right, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I don't want to watch it again. And I hate to say it because Spider-Man's my favorite character. I would love to see him get a movie in the style and tone of Guardians of the Galaxy made that well. That would be great.
Yeah, I've never been a huge Spidey fan. I think he's best in auxiliary roles when he's helping the Avengers or stuff. He's good for wisecracks. But, I've never been... I saw the first 2, didn't see the third. I had no interest in seeing the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Anyway, I mean, as far as that goes, currently what they're saying is... Feige was vague in saying that it was either not true at all or something not ready to be announced yet about Spider-Man. But, I mean, that's just speak. He can't say anything. I think it would be hugely beneficial for Sony to make some money on this and let Marvel Studios do something.
They can cross-pollinate because the Sony movies lined up is like, there's not going to be Amazing Spider-Man 3, it's going to be Sinister 6, and they're going to do a female-oriented one off of the Spider-Man universe. So they're going to do a Black Cat movie? No one's going to see that, especially how they're not really building them up at all.
Yeah.
So it's like Sony has to throw in the towel and be like, all right, we've got to do something where it's mutually beneficial. They just have to.
Yeah.
I think they're going to start realizing, because Amazing Spider-Man 2 these are not doing the business of the Marvel movies. When Amazing Spider-Man 2 does not do the business of Guardians of the Galaxy, that's a big red flag. That's being that Spider-Man is the biggest superhero in the Marvel universe, and the movie's not even close to being to the top.
I wish Fox would do something like that with the X-Men as well, because I enjoyed...
at least they're handling that franchise pretty well at this point. Fantastic Four, no, but at least the X-Men they are.
They are, but I still think Marvel Studios would do it better.
Oh, of course. I mean, at this point, we know that Marvel would do it better because they really haven't screwed up any of these movies by and large. All of them at least have been watchable, and they haven't tarnished. You can say what you will about Iron Man 3 and the Mandarin. I thought it was a gutsy decision to do that. A lot of people disagree.
I thought it was a great movie. I
thought it was good.
Here's the thing. I thought it was a great movie while at the same time not really liking what they did with the Mandarin, but I liked the movie all the same. It was still a good movie.
I like that it was like James Bond, Tony Stark. I like that.
The only thing I did not like was the CG jizz fest at the end. Like, I could have really done without that.
1,000 Iron Man suits.
CG like that bores me to tears.